All right, everybody, time for the market recap. So we are going to recap what happened in the markets overnight into the morning. The markets ran up when the market opened here. The market opened here around 9:30. We got a slight pullback, and then a bearish divergence within this bullish cycle that you see here. And we got that last leg to continue up into the 10 o'clock hour. I did take some trades within here, and I knew that we were going to take out this big wick, which is on the 30-minute chart from yesterday. Right there. That nice big wick right there. I knew that price action was going to go test that wick and try to take that wick out, because that was all sellers. So sellers continually, there was no time for price to go up and test those areas to see if there were buyers in that area. So I figured we were going to I speculated that we were going to go and test that area, and I was correct. But I was trailing my stops pretty closely because I didn't want to get stuck into a trade where there was a 200-300 point flush and I potentially lost my account or was down big for the day. So I was trailing my stop pretty tight. I took about 14 or 15 trades today, which was more than ideal. I think that was about right, somewhere around there. First trade was a loser, second trade was a winner, and I was scalping my way to go test this red dotted line, which was the highs from yesterday, which was the high of that wick candle. And so my bias was right, but you know, with the pops and drops of these candles, I just kind of got caught up, and I was able to recover. I ended the day up $886. I was up somewhere around 200 around here, and then I had to make a run. And when I came back, actually while I was on the run, I took 2 trades. You know what? Oh my God, one of the trades was so crazy. If you watch my live stream here, I sold at the bottom. I was like, I hope this is not a bottom. Is this a bottom? I'm thinking it's going to continue, right? And I wanted to take the trade from here to these lows. And I got stuck in a trade, and my internet went out when I was pulling up onto college campus. I was like, oh my God. And it was crazy. I explained it on the stream, but luckily it flushed here. I said, oh God, when it popped back on, I said, if this candle pushes up, then I'm going to be in trouble. It flushed, so it actually gave me some money, and I was up like 300 or 600 bucks at that point. But as you can see in hindsight, the conditions were bearish. All the technicals were telling us that it was bearish up here where price started to taper off, and we established initial balance high, and we rejected off that high. Well, I knew it was a high because here it was 1028. Once we rejected off of that high and we failed to go test it or to break out here, to break these levels, that was the first signal that we were going to go bearish. And then the cloud started to curl over right here. It started to close for the bullish momentum, and it started to flip bearish. So you have the cloud flipping, and right here where the moving averages crossed and we closed below the moving averages, that also lets us know that we were bearish at the moment, and we continued that same bearish price action throughout the rest of the day, as you can see. And we went down, and we actually made a head and shoulders here. As you can see, there is a where is it at? There is a head and shoulders here that we made before sending price back down to test these levels and this level. So this was a good day. This was some good price action. How do we know it was continuing lower? Well, because once we broke to the downside, we broke that initial balance low. It looks like price moved back up into initial balance. We pushed it back down. Price moved back up to an initial balance. We pushed it back down. Price moved back up, and it could not get back into an initial balance enough, like these were. And we rejected with this big red candle. And if you look at what the moving averages did, how they crossed down, that lets us know that we are also still bearish. But the fact that when we failed to break out of the initial balance low, and it's looking like a failed downside auction, which means price failed to break out and go lower. Usually when that happens, sometimes we come back in and we can hover around the lows, or we can go test the middle of the initial balance, or potentially run up to break the highs and try to test if we're going to break out, come back, find support, or if we'll fall back within the initial balance. And if we do that, if we fall back in initial balance, that is considered an failed upside auction. So here it's looking like a failed downside auction, but if you pay attention to what the moving averages are doing as they're failing to cross and prices stand below the initial balance, and our cloud is bullish, our cloud is bearish, that probably should let us know that maybe we should, sit tight. If we were wanting to go long, maybe we should sit tight and look for shorts. But as you can see, price just continued to fall for the rest of the day. And another thing, the way you can know that price was going to continue to fall, or we were still in the bearish cycle, was here. You have a series of lower highs. So you have a high, you have a lower high, a lower high, you have a lower high, and then you have a lower high. And then here you have a low, you have a lower low, you have a lower low, a lower low, and a lower low. So here is when you get a higher high, right? This high, okay, this high right here is higher than this high and this high. So that is a trap, because if I wanted to go bullish, bulls are thinking we're bullish. So we're going to buy in because we're bullish. We broke this high, we broke that high. But what do we do once we broke those highs? We pull back, giving a bearish divergence, which is what we should do in a bull cycle. This price right here continued up. And when it continued up, it's giving bulls hope that we're going to go make a new high, because that's what we want to see. We want to see a higher high in a bullish cycle, right? We wanted to see that kind of market structure to know that we were going to continue up, but we did not. We actually see from this high, we see a lower high, and then we see a lower high, and you can just never mind this wick. That was a fake out. We have a lower high, and from here you have a low, lower low, lower low, lower low. So even though it seems that this right here was the only time that the market broke structure, but that's on a 2 minute, maybe on the 5 minute, right? On the 5 minute, it might look a little different. Nope, the same. Well, still will be a little different depending on what you're looking for. But the market, the recap is the market never really broke that market structure, right? After we put in that big head and shoulders and we headed downward, right? After continuing that move, this first leg was just the rest of the move from the 6 a.m. trade. If you would have got in around 6:50, 6:40, this was the end of that trade by 10 o'clock in the morning. So after that trade, that is when we started a bear cycle, and the entire day was a bear cycle with a series of lower highs and lower lows. And as you can see, I'm gonna go ahead and erase all these circles, and as you can see, we traded below the 21 EMA for almost the entire day. Even see the 21 EMA as a yellow line. Once we crossed below it, even when we broke above it, we crossed right back below it. We broke above it, it went sideways, we crossed right back below it. That's bearish. And we're below VWAP, and we were below the cloud, and we were below the 200-day moving average all day. So we were up $886 for the day. This is the eval, $155,642.90. So we are up $5,642.90 on this account. We need less than 3,400 to pass this account. We want to be patient. We want to stay diligent and take these trades. Focus on market structure. Don't be greedy. Don't be fearful. Cut our losses quick, and that is the way that we'll get to these payouts. So that was my recap for today. That's what I seen. Even though I seen these trades and I seen the structure playing out, it felt good not to, just over trade and give back all the profits that I made and potentially lose the account due to tilt. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the trading today, even though it came a little, the money came at more trades than I would have liked, like 2 or 3 trades, but that's okay. We got it together. That's all that matters. And we had a good trading day. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.